reason that they use an A instead of using an X is because they're trying to clarify for you, because it isn't always X, right? In the original function, it's Y. Because look at what the instructions tell us. Find the inverse of A. So it's X in the inverse and Y in the original. So the first thing you want to do is do this. Negative 3x squared minus 5 equals negative 8. Because it's Y. Is everybody with me? That's why they use an A. It's because sometimes it's X and sometimes it's Y.
Okay, but what about the X?
Okay.
Hold on. So I'm going to solve this real fast.
Oh my gosh.
And it's super easy to solve. So I get negative 3x squared equals negative 3. So I get x squared equals 1. So x equals positive and negative 1. Because you take the square root of both sides, right?
Yeah.
So what that means is in the original function, f of 1 equals negative 8. So does f of negative 1. Because there's two x values, they both equal negative 8. Is everybody good so far?
Yes.
All right, so that means in the inverse function, because that's where they said the inverse function is a. So we're saying f of 8 equals negative 1. Now here's where we have a little issue. And sorry, that's why this is here. Because f of 8 equals 1.
Because it's greater.
Right, and the reason for that is, think about way back when we first started doing this. I'm going to get over here so Jamie can see. Quadratic. Inverse of a quadratic is not a function. So they already, before they ever inversed it, dropped this side off. That's why it says x is greater than 0. So that when they took the inverse, it would still be a function. Everybody okay?
Okay.
All right, so we did have two answers, but we don't need the negative one because it needs to be greater than 0. Okay, so with all that said, now I have my two ordered pairs, so this notation,
Well, freak.
I've used a G, sorry, again, instead of using the inverse, is pretty easy. Because we're looking for, we use this, I should have called it G, yes,
What is that? G to the...
instead of. Because that's what we're looking for is G to the 8. So, let me put another piece of paper in here because now I made a scribbly mess. Okay, so this is what we found when I plugged it in. I know this, f of 1 equals 8, because that's the only x value I need. I need the one that's greater than 0. And I know my inverse, which I'm going to call G of 8 equals 1. So,
It's negative 8.
Is
But
it
oh,
negative?
sorry. Sorry.
Negative, yeah.
So negative 8. Okay, so I'm going to do this now. This is my formula. So I need this, the derivative of 1. Is everybody good on where that came from?
Yes.
Okay, so now I have to find the derivative of f of x. Thank goodness it's just a polynomial, so finding the derivative of it should be easy.
So negative 6 and
Negative 6x,
So it'd be negative
1
6.
over negative 6.
1 over negative.
so it's 1 over negative 6.
Shoot, still don't get it.
there you go. Now I'm even more confused.
I got it now.
I understand it.
I understand
I
that.
completely
So when we
understand.
take the test, we're gonna do all these together, right?
No.
I
Honestly,
understand.
what's unfortunate, I mean, you do have to know this, but it's going to be such a small part of what you do in calculus. I mean, we might be lucky if one shows up on the AP exam, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So number 3, they gave me a equals 12, but remember what the instructions say. Find the inverse of a. So it's the x value of the inverse, it is the y value of the original. So I'm going to take 2x squared plus 4 and set it equal to 12. So I get x equals 2 because my notation tells me to only use the positive x value. So for my original, f of 2 equals 12.
Oh my gosh, I did this.
Is everybody okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, which means I'm going to use G to represent my inverse. G of 12 equals 2.
I get this.
All right, so the formula that I'm using is 1 over the derivative of f at G of 12. So that's going to be 1 over the derivative of f at 2, because I just found out G of 12 is 2, so I can plug that in. Now I have to find the derivative of f. So I get 4x, so your final answer is 1/8.
Yes. I get it. I
Alright,
get it.
so,
Okay.
We just need to know what that the A was the problem. Like,
Well, and
Where-
that's,
where to
now
put
it
it?
makes sense why they were calling it A.
Yeah.
The notes that we took didn't do that, and it might have clarified then if we did that that way. Okay, so try 4. If you haven't done it, do it real quick. And then we're going to go to the back, which is not inverses, but logs.
I get it. It's a good lesson. What do you want? Well,
I don't remember what I was reading.
oh yeah.
That's pretty, pretty follow us. That's a run.
Okay, so I have A equals 10 is the x value of the inverse because of what my instructions are saying, which means it's the y value of the original. So I have x cubed plus 2 equals 10, because we're plugging it in for y. Subtract 2, x cubed equals 8, which means x equals 2. So, for the original, f of 2 equals 10. For my inverse, which I'm going to use g of 10 equals 2. So 1 over the derivative of the original at the inverse of 10. So 1 over the derivative at 2. So find the derivative. Just 3x squared, so 1 over 12 is your final answer. Has everybody got it now?
Yes.
Feeling better?
Yes.
Okay.
G's throwing me off, so I'm still using the F of the
That's
same
fine,
one.
because the f to the negative, the only reason it throws me off is because I can't
Oh,
put
I
a
got
prime
one
in there
over
with
three.
my 1 and it won't.
That's
I found the derivative the very
I
first
don't- I
time.
missed that.
That's, well, and that's probably a good idea.
Either you
Annie
messed
just
up
said she
by
finds the
using
derivative
or-
first, which
Huh?
probably is a great idea because this is derivative calculus, so pretty much every problem you do, you're going to have to find a derivative, so you might as well find it first. Okay, so on the back, we're doing natural logs. Now, I don't know why the computer program does not put parentheses. I think we need to, just because it clarifies things. So real quick, let me go through.
Did we do side?
This is,
I
no,
did not do
Oh, it's
mine.
good.
you can do it. These are parentheses. I think that clarifies things for you. That these, the 5x squared is the argument for natural log. And then down on 8 and 9 especially, the argument includes a log. Okay, so when we do these, we're going to have to do what? What should we do?
Chain rule.
Chain rule. So let's use chain rule. And some of them you might need to use chain rule more than once.
Yeah.
Or no. Whatever works for you.
Oh, man.
dy dx is going to be dy du times du dx. That's going to be 1 over u
Taylor. Do you have it over here?
times 10x,
Do you have this one? Do you have another one?
which makes this
Oh, it's on the back?
1 over 5x squared times 10x, which simplifies
2 over X? Oh,
to 2 over x. Everybody okay? That one wasn't bad at all. So go ahead and do 7 because it's really almost exactly like that. Everybody get 5 over x?
Yes.
Alright. Now, on 8 it gets a little bit more challenging. What do you think I need to do?
Have
Chain
3
rule again?
pieces.
Chain rule more pieces. This time I'm talking, I think 3 pieces. So let's say y is log u, and u is log 3x to the 4th. No,
3W.
3w. Yeah. U equals log w, and w equals 3x to the 4th. And by the way, you can use whatever letters you want. Those are the ones I always use. dy dx is going to be dy du, because that's my first piece, times, my second piece is u and w, so we're going to go du dw, and then dw dx. Okay. So 1 over u times 1 over w, bless you, times 12x to the 3rd.
Thank you.
So that's going to be 1 over log w, which I'm going to go ahead and put my 3x in, 3x to the 4th in, times 1 over 3x to the 4th times 12x to the 3rd. Okay, now just for the purposes before we simplify, this right here is the argument of log. Okay, so it is connected to log, cannot be simplified with anything. Alright, that's going to be there regardless. But these pieces on the outside can simplify. So I end up with 4 over, let's see, 3 goes into 12, that's 4. These all cancel and leave me 1x on bottom. Put it in front of log 3x to the 4th. Is everybody okay?
Yes.
Okay, try 9 because it's almost the same thing.
Do we keep this?
Yeah.
I understand logs now. This is beautiful. I just kept forgetting or not, just not changing. I was just like, that's why I was so wrong. Okay.
General is like your best friend.
I don't know about my best friend, it's my best tool.
That is.
The most used tool. Best tool or favorite tool is probably still part tool. Are we gonna get